Hello everyone, welcome to a brand new episode of the Sports Insight with your host Alamdar Khan. And yes, as you know, we give you sports information from all across the globe. You guys can surely reach out to us on our social media handle, which is at the rate of Indus News Sports. That works both for Twitter and for Instagram. But anyways, we'll go to the headlines first. And yes, from the world of cricket, Pakistan versus West Indies, the third T20 abandoned due to rain. Pakistan is still leading the series 1-0. And yes, from the world of golf, Xander Schauffele wins golf gold as Rory McIlroy and Paul Casey miss out on the medals in Tokyo 2020. And yes, from the world of athletics, Venezuela's Yolimar Rojas sets the world record in women's triple jump. And yes, talking about swimming in the Olympics, we talk about Adam Peaty to take a short break to mentally recharge before a busy 2022. And those were the headlines. And yes, we're going to start with Pakistan versus West Indies. Yes, the third T20 is abandoned due to rain, but not to forget, Pakistan did manage to win the second T20 with 7 runs. But to discuss the in-depth analysis, we have with us Adam Bell all the way from New Zealand. Adam, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Alamdar.
Great. Adam, and we're going to talk about, obviously, Pakistan did manage to win the second T20 against West Indies, and I think it was an interesting game to be precise. But yes, the last match has been postponed, and before that, if you remember, the rain issue was still there when they played only 9 overs. But how do you see this current T20 series for Pakistan? Because it's so far so good, besides the fact that rain takes over.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, it was an impressive victory the other day. So Pakistan got the 1-0 lead. And a couple of interesting things for me is that Babar Azam dropped down to number 3 and Shajil opened the batting with Rizwan, who again scored runs in that match. And also that Ahmad Wasim didn't play in the game. And he's been the cornerstone of the Pakistan T20 side over the last 3 or 4 or 5 years and been one of the best white ball bowlers in the world. And especially opening the bowling. So it was interesting to see him being left out of the series so far. But it was also good to see Pakistan introduced a young guy, Mohammad Wasim Jr. Who got his first taste of international cricket. So it looks like at the moment Pakistan are just trying to find out the right combination, looking ahead to the World Cup later in the year. But it was interesting to see Babar Azam drop down to number 3 because he was very successful opening the batting in England. I think it just kind of suggests that Pakistan are probably just trying to get a faster start because Rizwan and Babar play very similar type of role. Right. And just to split those two up is probably what they're looking at doing in the series, just trying a few different combinations.
But what we really want to hear is, obviously, West Indies had a very amazing series with Australia. Not to forget that they all had those political issues in their team. But I think they're also up and ready in terms of their performance. If you look into Pollard's performance, how he was trying to chase down that score in the second match. But yet again, obviously, they are also a solid team. So we'll still be looking forward for the third match to see how improved all these teams are for the upcoming World Cup.
Yeah, absolutely. We know that the West Indies have got a real strong side on paper, and you look at some of the names that they have on their side. They've got some of the greatest players that have played T20 cricket. Dwayne Bravo, Chris Gale, Andre Russell are 3 guys that come to mind that have been successful in international T20 leagues for a number of years now. In particular, the evergreen universal boss, who's always seems to be there or thereabouts in the West Indies side, making comebacks and still so integral to their side. For me, the West Indies are an interesting mix because they've got a lot of young guys in their side. The Pordans, Hetmeyer, who are still trying to establish themselves in right. T20 cricket and in international cricket. But they still rely, for me, on their experienced players. And it'll be interesting to see whether they'll be able to, or those younger guys are able to step up in crucial situations. I think from a West Indies perspective, they unearthed a couple of really good young players in the series against Australia. I thought Hayden Walsh Jr. bowled exceptionally well. His haul of 13 wickets was the second most in a T20 series. So he bowled exceptionally well, got the ball to turn a mile. And we saw Fabian Allen bowling well for the
Right.
West Indies and took a fantastic catch in one of those matches, and McCoy as well, the ball. So look, they are a really strong side. But I thought the other day Pakistan had their measure. In the end, it looked like a close one from Pakistan, but they really had the game in control. I mean, despite poor runs, quick 550, I don't think Pakistan were ever in danger of losing that match.
Right. And talking about obviously performance with regards to Babar, we surely focus on Babar Azam and Mohammad Rizwan to begin with. But yes, we still do have the same problem that we have seen. If you remember the series that Pakistan went to against England, obviously, that was yet another series that actually broke a lot of motivation for a lot of people, a lot of fans out there, not only the fans, obviously the team itself. So I'm sure they're also making a comeback with regards to that, because finally it has been announced that that the World Cup is going to be in the UAE and Oman. And obviously when it's there, the temperament, the situation, the scenario, I think most of the teams who've played there will probably have a better edge.
Oh, absolutely. The fact that the PSL has recently been played in Pakistan, and Pakistan have played a lot of cricket in the UAE over the last, you know, 4 or 5, 6 years, is really a major advantage to them. You know, they know the conditions well. They've got the spin attack to really exploit those conditions. We saw in England in that final T20 match, basically they went in with an all-spin bowling lineup, apart from Hassan Ali. I mean, from memory, Hussain didn't even bowl in that match.
Right.
So I think looking forward, that particular match will be a blueprint for how Pakistan should tackle the T20 World Cup. They should go in with a lot of spinners. You've got Hafiz that bowled in that match. He bowled superbly, and we know that he is a fine off-spin bowler in all forms of cricket, but he hasn't been able to bowl due to issues with his action. But him bowling for Pakistan, for me, gives them a lot more balance. You add in Shadab Khan, you add in Kadir, you add in Shadab Khan, and then suddenly you've got a quality spin bowling attack. Plus you've got Faraka Zaman, who can bowl as well, and a few others that can roll their arm over. So I think for Pakistan, they've got a massive advantage playing in the UAE, because they know exactly what they're going to get. And you add in Hassan Ali, who is fantastic with reverse swing, and when the ball roughs up a little bit, that's when he can come into play, and is a great death bowler with great change-up. So I think Pakistan have an attack that is really well suited to the UAE, and should go on as one of the favourites to that tournament.
Right, and if you look into obviously in the Super 12, obviously in the round one, if you look at the groups in Pakistan, India, New Zealand, Afghanistan would surely be in one of the groups. But I would like to add this, because obviously New Zealand has they've just toured, and obviously they're spot on with regards to their performance. How do you see them while being and playing in Abu Dhabi or Oman, or in the UAE to be precise, because obviously the conditions are way different than New Zealand itself, or otherwise than England. So how do you see New Zealand coming up in that group, because it's going to be India, Pakistan, Afghanistan and New Zealand?
Yeah, I mean, look, New Zealand has guys that have played in the UAE before. In 2018, New Zealand played a T20 series against Pakistan, and from memory, Pakistan won that series. A few of the guys have played in the PSL, played in IPL, so that some of these guys aren't really unaccustomed to playing in the UAE or in subcontinent conditions. However, it's the balance of the team for me. Whether New Zealand will be able to get a bowling attack that is suited to bowling in the UAE.
Right.
New Zealand has been seamer top heavy for the last few years, especially in home conditions. But when they go to the UAE, they will have to change the balance of their team a little bit.
Right.
I think in terms of the batting lineup as well, look, playing quality spinners is always tough, and especially away from home. And New Zealand's got a couple of fine exponents with Kane Williamson and also Devon Conway, who can play spin bowling well. But it's whether the other batsmen in the lineup are capable of playing against quality spin bowling. Colin Munro, who was successful in the PSL, is someone that's got experience in playing in the UAE, and he was successful. However, he's on the outer, so I'm not sure whether he'll feature in the World Cup. But for me, it's going to be tough on New Zealand, especially in that pool with India and Pakistan, who both have world-class spinners in their lineup.
Right. Let's hope things go as per plan, and definitely would also want to talk a bit about the other group, which is England, Australia, South Africa, and West Indies. So that is also one interesting group if you look into it.
Yeah, South Africa, though they're flying under the radar a little bit in international cricket, and they've lost a lot of great names over the last few years, AB de Villiers, Faf du Plessis, etc. They beat the West Indies at home recently, so they'll be confident that they could jag a win against the West Indies. I think Australia will be better equipped come the World Cup because they'll get guys like Glenn Maxwell, David Warner, Pat Cummins, Stoinis, and a few other guys back in the mix. So they'll probably be a bit more confident. And also Mitchell Marsh played well in that T20 series against the West Indies. Right. So he was a positive for them. England, for me, are the powerhouse at the moment. It just seems like they've got depth in every single department. And you think their spin bowling department of Adil Rashid and Moeen Ali, who'll be really good over in the UAE. Parkinson, who's bowled well in England. And then all the plethora of fast bowlers that they've got, and all the power hitting that they've got. They've got Ben Stokes, who hasn't been playing in the T20 side recently, who's on the outer. Alex Hales, we know he can't make the team because of some issues there with Owen Morgan.
Right.
Just the depth that they've got at the moment, for me, that'd be the clear favourites to get out of the group. But I think that the other three teams will be really competing hard for that final spot. It's going to be a really exciting World Cup. I'm really looking forward to it.
Right, I think we all are. Thank you so much, Adam, for being a part of the show and discussing the world of cricket with us.
Thanks for having me, Alamdar. Much appreciated.
Great. So that was Ada all the way from New Zealand. And yes, we did talk about not only Pakistan versus West Indies, the series that is still underway. Obviously, the match has been abandoned due to rain, but we still have one more match to go against West Indies. Not to forget, Pakistan is already leading against West Indies, but all these teams are actually practicing out there because they want to go and get the gold in the T20 upcoming T20 World Cup in October. So we'll surely keep you guys posted about it. What we'll do is we'll take a quick break. Once we get back from the break, there is more coming in from the world of sports. See you guys after the break. And yes, welcome back from the break. And yes, before the break, we were discussing Pakistan versus West Indies. Not only that, we also talked a bit about how the World Cup is now scheduled for Oman and the UAE. But anyways, we'll talk more about golf now. And as we know right now, that Xander Schauffele managed to win the gold at Tokyo Olympics. But to discuss the in-depth analysis on what truly happened out there, we have with us Umar Khokar, who's a national golf player. Umar, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Hi, how are you?
Good. I hope you're well, and I'm sure you'll be following the Tokyo 2020. Would want to talk about Xander Schauffele to begin with. How do you see his victory? And then we can further discuss how individuals with big names were there, but were pretty close, but could not get the gold.
Well, yeah, definitely. Xander won the gold finally. He's one of the guys who is struggling to get a major as well. But I think just to win a gold medal for USA is something that he can pretty much, take it as an achievement moving forward to his golfing career. Although his back nine was not that good as it should have been, just like the front nine and just like the way he played the first 3 days. But still coming and finishing with a birdie on the 17th, and the third shot he played on the 18th was well-deserved gold medal shot for him.
Right, and talking not only about him, obviously he represented the USA. If we talk about Sabatini, who was representing his country, it was pretty close. But how do you see individually these? Obviously, it's all about getting the gold. So how much impact is it going to be there for names like those who were on the leaderboards or managed to get at least some medal for their country?
Well, definitely. Rory Sabatini actually became the Slovakian in the end of 2019. He's originally a South African golfer, but his wife and his stepson are basically from Slovakia. So by the end of, I think, 2019, he got the nationality of Slovakia. And
right.
Probably one of the main reasons was just to get an invite to the Olympics and these kind of events.
Right.
And, just for him to shoot a round of 61, which is the lowest round ever played in Olympics golf. And, all of a sudden he saw himself on the top of the leaderboard.
Right.
So I think it's such a great achievement for him. It would have been more fun if there would have been a playoff between Xander and Rory.
Right.
But then again, for him to win a silver and for his country is such a big achievement.
Right. And not only that, if you talk about Chinese, CT Pan, who also managed to get the bronze. So what's your take on that? And obviously having that edge of being in the vicinity where definitely most of the golfers have traveled. So how do you see the bronze medal that actually went to CT Pan?
Well, there was a 7 players playoff for the bronze medal.
Right.
Because usually it's a tie, and all the golfers, those who are tied for third position or any position, they get the same and equal amount of money. But out here at the Olympics golf, they needed to decide who's going to get the bronze medal. So
Right.
there was a 7 players playoff happening, and then players like Rory McIlroy, Colin Morikawa, and all these big names were there in the playoff. But for the CT Pan to win a medal for his country, Taiwan, and just to win in a playoff, well, I think that was extended for 4 holes. So that was I think really something he would really love that.
Right. And if we go back into a point when DeChambeau actually got COVID positive, and then Patrick Reed was sent over. So if Rory, if he were here, DeChambeau were here, because obviously Rory McIlroy did play, but we talk about DeChambeau if he were here, but he was replaced by Patrick Reed. So do you think it was the right move? Because when it comes to getting golfers like these, big names like these, it's basically to represent the country. So how do you think that impacted the team itself?
Well, yeah, definitely. And even John Rahm also could not participate because his COVID test also came out to be positive early in the week.
Right.
Definitely, there were a few big names missing as well. Then Justin Johnson was not here to play the Olympics, because of all those protocols and everything.
Right.
So definitely, I think it was a good chance for other golfers to win a medal, just like we saw CT Pan winning a bronze medal, and just like Rory Sabitani, who's not even ranked in 100 or probably top 150, just to win a silver medal, and it's such a big deal for the golfers to win a medal for their country, as we know in every sport. So I think that was something. But just at the end of the day, the one of the greatest golfer, one of the future of the golf, Xander Schauffele, won the gold medal. I think he really deserved to win a gold medal, because he's been playing amazing golf for the last 3-4 years,
Right.
and he's out there in every tournament.
So, and also talking about Masters champion, yes, we talk about Hideki Matsuyama. I think a lot of people had a lot of hopes in terms of his performance, because obviously once he won the Masters, he definitely came up to one of the big names in Japan. So how do you see his performance in terms of obviously not getting the medal, but trying his level best to get there?
Well, he played very good golf out there, but
Right.
he was not able to do some good putts on the back nine. Even he missed very important putts coming in on the last few holes.
Right.
And even after missing that, he was also one of the part for the playoff in the tie for bronze medal. And, he was also part of those 7 people, but it came short. And, golf is just like this. You're not going to win every week. You're not going to win every tournament. It's very tough. And at these level, it would have been really good for him to win the gold medal or any medal at his home course. Just having Olympics in your home country is very rare. That happens probably after a lot of decades.
Right. And talking about golf, I'll just have a quick word with regards to you. Obviously, nations representing their countries in Olympics to begin with. So how does this thing work for someone from Pakistan who actually wants to opt or be that golfer that can at least go represent the country? So how do you see that, or how do you really think it will work in the future?
Well, actually, in the Olympics, in the golf, it's only professionals, those who are going out there and playing and competing against each other.
Right.
Although there's no prize money at the Olympics golf, so all these golfers, those who have won medals or finished whatever the position, they won't get any paycheck from the tournament.
Right.
So usually the top ranked golfers, those who are professional and are ranked in the world ranking,
Right.
gets an invite. So from every country, there are 2 golfers invited.
All right, so
in the future, let's see if we have any.
Is there any
professional golfer
association? Sorry, Umar, I just wanted to know: is this any association in the country that actually takes you there? Because there are golfers from Pakistan, but aren't there any ones that could be on a level that finally they can come up to a point of getting an invitation?
Well, definitely. In future, I'm very hopeful for the next Olympics whenever it happens in Paris after 3 years or 4 years in 2024.
Right.
You know, if there is any Pakistani golfer who is ranked in the world ranking,
Right.
and that can happen when that Pakistani professional golfer is going to play on international tours like Asian Tour or European Tour or PG Tour, because
Right.
that's how they get the ranking points and that's how they move up in the world ranking.
Right. Well, Umar, thank you so much for being a part of the show and discussing the world of golf with us.
Thank you very much.
So that was Umar, and obviously talked about the in-depth analysis. Not only that, we also discussed how golfers can actually go represent their nations. We hope in the future Pakistan does manage to go and we have those amazing golfers, the talent out there that could actually bring us maybe a medal from the next Olympics. But anyways, this was from the world of Tokyo Olympics. Golf side, I'm going to enter the athletic side. Yes, talking about athletics, Venezuela's Yulimar Rojas sets the world record to win women's triple jump. And the point is, the initial jump that was there back in Rio was 15.67 meter, which is surely now she has set a new world record. So she is the way forward. The previous one was 15.50 and this one is 15.67, and triple is also known as hop, step and jump. And I think in terms of athletics, it is surely a big record and achievement for her. So she definitely won the gold, and many congratulations to her. The previous, the biggest, the longest that was ever there was back in 1995. So this is surely a big record-breaking situation for her. But anyways, congratulations to her. We'll quickly jump over into the world of swimming Olympics. Yes, talking about swimming Olympics, we talk about Adam Patey to take a short break due to mentally recharging before busy 2022. And he definitely retained his men's 100-meter breaststroke title to win the gold and silver. But yet again, the major concern with all these athletes these days is one concern which we definitely talk about, which is the mental health issues. And I think social media surely has a very big role to play. So I think we should all, rather than congratulating, I think that should be the way to deal with people and those heroes out there who actually go out there to get the gold, silver or the bronze medal. Anyways, guys, this was pretty much it from the world of sports. If you want to read to us, you can on our social media handle, which is at the rate of Indus News Sports. Till then, take good care of yourselves and bye-bye.